aside from us. So
welcome to the Inspired Evolution, and it is such a heartwarming, it is such a gooey, yummy feeling to be here today. We have with us Jasleen Aulakh. Jasleen, how are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Amrit. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm better for having you here for sure, because there has just been so much inspiration that comes my way from you that it's really an honor just to be in this conversation with you today.
Thank you so much. I'm honored that you feel that way. Thank you.
For those that are tuning in to Jasleen for the first time, let me bring you up to a little bit of speed, but I'm hoping to go super deep in this one. So basically, Jasleen Aulakh with Polly Segura as the lyricist, right? They collaborate music together as mother and daughter, and they inspire each other with the goal to make meaningful music without sermonizing, right? So the music's super deep, guys, and it's super beautiful. It's predominantly inspired by folk music and some Sufi influences, but it's not restricted by any particular genre, which we're going to dive into and have a conversation around some of the different sort of collabs that you come up with in terms of genres. And their music draws attentions to all aspects of the fabric of life. Its joys as well as its problems, the happiness as well as some of the challenges. There's some activism in there as well. And their projects basically aim to popularize folk music. And it seems, which, you know, folk music, especially in India, seems to have been given a bit of a backseat in modern times. And they take some of the philosophy of the great Sufi poets and make it more relatable for all of us. And to be honest, this is really what speaks to me. Someone that loves music, but also loves wisdom. Between Polly and Jasleen, they've added words to the words of the poets. They've built their own compositions and Polly's lyrics, and it's just a blessing. Obviously, having created such beautiful content, Jasleen's songs on YouTube have gained a lot of popularity, and she's received a lot of appreciation from all over the world, myself included over here in Australia. Her songs are available iTunes, Amazon, Spotify. She travels all over India. And I can't wait for her to come one day to Australia. But this is us with the prayer and the intention, setting a seed just to spread her message a little bit further around the world. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Amrit. Thank you for having me.
Hey, I'd love to tune in and start with just a really, straight to it kind of question. When did you realize music was going to be such a big part of your life?
Amrit, I think I felt like I wanted to do music all my life. Ever since the day I was born, I think I had music in me. I remember when I was a little girl, and sometimes, when the family would go to the Gurudwara, I'd start dancing there. That'd be sort of hard to control. And it's something I would dream of, being on stage even as a little girl, and I'd just keep playing music. I would collect up old tins and boxes and things and start hitting those and playing music and doing whatever I possibly could, or take a cellophane paper with a comb. And I always was so fascinated by sound, But as I grew older, I felt that people don't take people who want to do something conventional, that's not conventional, they don't want to take it seriously. They don't take you seriously. If you say, when people would ask me, so what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? I wanted to say, I want to be a singer. I want to be on stage. But I could never muster up the courage to do that, because I'd just say I'm still trying to figure it out. Or I'd just, join a course the rest of my friends would join, and, sort of follow everybody else. It's after I finished my master's degree in something completely unrelated, is when my mother, Polly, she's the one who asked me. She said, you've done this, but are you really happy with what you've done?
Ooh, Mom.
So usually it's the other way around. Usually the parents sort of pushing you towards doing something that's just conventional, something that everybody's meant to do, doctor, lawyer, whatever. I don't think I ever had the brains to be a doctor or a lawyer, but something that was, follow the norms. But it's when she asked me this question is when I realized that it's music I wanted to do. And she said, if you don't admit it to yourself, how are you going to tell the world, and how are you going to expect them to take you seriously? So that's how it really happened. She's the one who pushed me into it.
So Polly, the lyricist and the coach.
Yes, most
and the
definitely.
Life coach.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so grateful to her. I'm so grateful to God to have her in my life. Really, I owe everything to her.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you
So
so much for sharing that. And let's take that tangent, because there's a lot of your music speaks to God. And in a really, really, really beautiful way. It's like like I mentioned in the bio, it's definitely not sermonizing. It's definitely not, hey, like this is God, but it's just this romance with
thank you.
the essence of just the beauty of life, and God and the fabric that has woven that all together. And it really,
Right.
for someone that is, just to reflect back to you, for someone that lives in a different country halfway across the world, um, it it really connects. And I think I messaged you the first time I reached out to you. I was just a message of gratitude, just saying, hey, like,
Yes,
your music.
I was so happy to read your message. Yes, I remember. Thank you. It was so beautiful.
It was just, yeah, and I was just articulating that it just really helps, people that are living overseas connect back to their roots, because there is so much and
Thank
so
you.
much richness in the culture of India, and the relationship with spirituality and God. And, music is we're such a musically rich country. But
Yes.
I guess there's a lot of, just through economic development, let's just go there, that we tend
Mhm.
to, just chase what is not necessarily culturally our own, just in the
Mm.
face of progress. That I often
Right.
feel that, some of the music stopped speaking to me. And I grew up with Bollywood, but then after a while it all became very cheesy, and I sort of just said,
Mm.
like, I'm looking for something a little bit more meaningful. So your music really helped connect me back to a really, really deep place back home. And so my question is, hey, like, that connection to God for yourself, has it been ever present? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to you creating music with that in mind, or that in essence, or that in heart?
Mm, see, I feel I definitely believe in God, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel I truly am. There is a higher power out there, and we all need that, and that's what keeps us grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And God could be in any form, could be Allah, could be Vaheguru, could be Ram, could be
Mm.
anyone, right? It's just one God. Now that whole concept of God's been distorted so much in
Mm.
so many countries, including India, where there is no secularism. And
Mm.
I feel, and this is just my opinion,
Mm.
and I don't disagree with anybody. Just sort of everybody. We all need to agree to disagree, is when the world is going to be a more peaceful place. Sorry,
Yeah.
I tend to drift, so just let me know when to shut up.
Drift away.
But
We're here to chat. Yeah.
um, I'm sorry. What was the question?
The question was your relationship with God and how it inspires
Right,
your
right.
music.
Right. So I think it's the first time that I heard Sufi music is what really
Mm.
I just it transported me somewhere else. I just it spoke to me. That really spoke to me, and I felt that a lot of what Polly was writing was meant the same thing. And Sufism, just like Sikhism, was really a movement, in my opinion, to break free from the rigidity of religion, the shackles of
Mm.
society.
Yeah.
People telling you what to do, what not to do, and religion can become very rigid sometimes. And the
Mm-hmm.
Sufis did something which one can almost, some people consider it blasphemous almost. They
Mm.
considered the person that they love in higher esteem than God.
Mm.
So when I sing, it could be God that I'm singing to. It could be somebody else. It could be
Yeah.
even my music that I am dedicating my song to. It's just something that I feel so passionate about, is what I dedicate my song to when I'm singing. So it's not necessarily God.
Yeah.
It could be another human being. It could be I think it could be anyone or any species, any being, anything at all.
I
So
love that.
I think I think God has a way to have different forms, and He can
Manifest
be
in
present in
everything.
so. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And so
that's
that
my.
was going to be one of my questions, actually, because some of the songs are definitely love songs. And there's some like ancient historical songs from our culture in Punjab and India.
Right.
And they speak to, like, one of my favorite songs of yours is Ranjha. And yeah, just the composition is gorgeous. Let's just go there. And just how you sing it all in Punjabi, but then there's that emphasis that's delivered in English. It's like, I went on my journey and I went to meet God. I went looking for Ranjha, but I met God on the way. But even God is nothing like Ranjha. And
right.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would consider that blasphemous, but I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And so, hey, when you say Sufi music, what was inspiring you? What was like, what are some of the artists, what are some of the music that was when it first popped out that spoke to you?
I think Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Sahab, of course, everybody at home would play these old video cassettes of his concerts and everything,
Yeah.
So I grew up listening to that, the Badali brothers, all of these amazing people, Abida Parveen.
Dude, she's amazing. Her voice.
She's amazing.
Wow.
I know.
She sings some of Kabir's songs and oh my God.
Yes.
Insane. Yes. Insane.
Right.
Yeah.
And then later on in life, I was introduced to a lot of Sufi poetry as well. And there's a lot of poetry by Kabir Sahab and Sant Farid and all of these amazing Sufi mystics. What they've written has also been included in the Guru Granth Sahib. So as I started becoming more aware of what they had written, it really spoke to me. And
so can I ask you a question? You're kind of tuning into the music of these people that are philosophical revolutionaries in their own way, breaking against the mold of the hold of religion in a certain way.
Yes, they were really spurned during their lifetime.
Right. And was there some sort of parallel in your own life when you're stepping into music and breaking through kind of the mold of, hey, like I got my master's degree and now I'm going to, be revolutionary in my own life? Is the art helping you navigate the process a little bit?
Most definitely, because I believe in this so much that it just sort of helps me face all the challenges as well.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I love that. And so when you're, there's one of your songs, which is, there's like a lot of them, they all have distinct energy, right? Which is really beautiful. It's like seeing the corners of like the way you can go is really fun. But one of the songs is that, I don't know if you're most famous for this song in India, but it's really like, I took it to be really funny. And there's a song called Aunty, which you did, which I thought was amazing because I've been listening to like I've been listening to all the Sufi and all the spiritual songs that, and the old history, and you're really reconnecting me to my roots. And then I hear this very contemporary song, which is like, "Don't call me auntie." And I was just like, wait. And I was like, wait, who? Wait, okay, this is her? Oh, wait, what's going on? Tell us a little bit about what's going on in the background of that song. What inspired that song? It's got activism in there, which is well needed. But yeah, tell us more about what's going on.
Thank you for saying that. So I feel, part of women's emancipation is also the satisfaction of their vanity. And I do strongly believe that. And my mother's the one who's written the song. Polly's written it. And, whenever you go anywhere, and this is a typical Indian thing, I don't know if you face this in Australia or not, but who decides when one becomes auntie?
Yeah. What is the cutoff? What is the threshold? Yeah.
Right. What decides that? It's really sad. So I think it deals with age shaming in a humorous manner is what the song is. So yes, there is activism in there, and I hate it. Like there was a little child the other day. I was walking our dog Pluto in the park, and this little child came up to me and said, "Auntie, isko pakdo na, like can you just please
hold on
to him, Auntie?" It hurt. It really hurt, Amrit. I mean, I'm not related to that child. If I had actually been related to that child, he had every right to call me auntie.
And your Monica was auntie
because
yeah.
Right. So I did not like that, and I really forgot about the Sufi aspect of things. I wanted to wring his neck, really.
And so out came this revolutionary song, which speaks to women's
Yes.
rights. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, because I think, especially in India, we have so many ways to express a relationship. So when you are actually related to somebody, when you are indeed somebody's auntie, then or uncle for that matter, there are words that express that, tai ji, chachi ji, masi ji, mami ji, or mama ji, taya ji for uncle or uncle. But that's when you're actually related to that person. When you're not even related, then what gives anybody the right to come and just address you as auntie or uncle? I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a very interesting, and I was curious to find out what was the creative process behind that. So that was a Polly written song.
Yes. Yes, most of them are Polly written songs. Yes.
And how is that working with your mother on your creative journey?
It's wonderful. I enjoy it so much. She's, we've been very fortunate to have been introduced to another friend who is the one who produces our music. So he's based in Bombay. We're based in Chandigarh. So his name's Aman Nath, and he's incredibly talented. He's the one who does the music for all of my songs. So he does everything from recording it to producing it to mixing, arranging, all of that. And earlier I used to go to the studio and sit with him, and for him, what the lyricist, how the lyricist sort of envisions the song is very important, because that's the foundation.
That's the seed, yeah.
And so initially we would sort of keep sending songs back and forth to Polly, and then she would give her opinion and send it back to Aman, and that was just sort of, the process would get delayed a little bit. So then he suggested that it would be so much easier if the three of us were in the studio together and worked on stuff together. So now the three of us have started working together. So we sit and, first it's Polly and me who sit on the song. She writes it. I make a melody. We co-compose these days, so she adds to the melody as well. Some of the melodies are hers. And then we take that to Aman, and then he changes things around, and we sort of discuss it together. And then he takes over from there. So it's a lot of fun, I love it.
I love that. And that's the process that we have today that produces such gorgeous music. But tell us a little bit about the journey in terms of, you completed your master's, your mum asked you the question like, hey, is this really what you want to do? And you, with some courage, said no. Was the answer, hey, I think it's music? Or is that what you said to her in the moment? Or did you just say no? And then how did that journey unfold, like, of you stepping more and more into music?
It was sort of like, are you happy with what you're doing? Because I don't think you are. And is it music that you really want to do?
She knew.
She knew. And I said, well, I do. But I mean, the same thing, that I thought people wouldn't take me seriously. And then she sort of counseled me there. And after that, there's been no looking back. And once she started writing for me, I, had songs of my own, because before this, I used to just sing covers. Sorry, was that the question?
Yeah, that was the question. So my next question is, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've faced on the journey of, like, just stepping out and being the musician?
I think one of the biggest challenges is, for one thing, this really is a challenge. People don't take you seriously. Now they do, because they've heard of me a little more. But initially, sometimes I'd be on my way back from a gig, and I bumped into an old classmate at the airport, I remember once, and I didn't expect somebody who was, a contemporary to behave like that. She said, so what do you do these days? So I said, I'm a musician. Yeah, I've seen some of your videos, but what do you really do? I'm a musician full time. But is that all you do? So I said, yes. So you don't have a job? I said, that is my job. Oh, so you're a freelancer, is it? And, she sort of, in a way,
she wasn't getting it. She wasn't getting it. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't get it. A lot of people just don't get it. And then some people say, oh, it's so easy for you to just pick up your guitar and you just go and sing wherever you feel like, and you get paid for it. Now that's amazing. You have it so easy. But they don't realize the work that goes into it.
Right.
And anyway, then I just stopped bothering about all this, and you just have to do what you have to do and keep going, and as long as you believe in it, that's all that matters, right?
Because that was going to be my question. Go on, tell us.
One challenge that I have faced, and this I think is, I don't mean to run down my country. I'm very proud of India. All this music that I've got is also from this part of the world, India, Pakistan. But one thing that I hate is the mentality, which is changing gradually, but we still have a lot to,
a lot of ground to cover.
Yes, because a lot of musicians that I have worked with in the past who have been men, they don't like taking instructions from a woman. So they don't, I'd have to sort of figure out a plan. So if I had to tell the tabla player that he's not doing something the way I would have liked it to be done, he would sort of, he wouldn't accept it if I tell him myself. So then I would tell the guitarist and say, hey, don't you think it would sound better if he did it this way instead? And he said, oh, yeah, I think it does. I said, maybe you should suggest that to him. And then he would tell him, and this guy would be like, oh, yeah, I think that's a great idea. You know? So that can get very trying sometimes, because it's just stressful. It's changed now. Thankfully, the people I'm working with now aren't they're wired differently.
Yeah.
But I have faced this in the past, yes.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to a couple of things. Obviously, there's the sexist perspective of it, that there is some challenges, being of a different gender. There's also, the cultural norm, which being taken seriously for having a creative profession, which I think is present even in countries like, where I'm from in Australia. But I definitely can agree, there is some strict guidelines in India in terms of you're either going to be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or a failure. And nobody wants to be a failure. So, so I think there's definitely that. But then there's also this element of, when you're starting out, it's very, now obviously people can reflect in your music and they understand that you're creating something that's really special. But when you would have been starting out, people perhaps had that resistance towards, like, what do you really know? And now you've come to a phase where people appreciate and respect what you do know, because obviously you've created something that is so special. But for those that are tuning in to the Inspired Evolution in this conversation, this episode, they're probably in that phase of where they're creating something and they're probably interfacing with some people that maybe not in the same space of being a creative, but perhaps people not believing in them and the way what they're actually creating. Do you have any advice for them in terms of what kept you going through that? Like, obviously you got innovative, you got creative around, hey, I want to communicate to the tabla player, but let me communicate to the guitarist to get through to the tabla player. So what are the skills that you're investing in there and exercising that have helped you kind of navigate through that challenging period?
I think the biggest thing is patience. Because if you really want to do something that you truly love, in order to achieve that, you really, really need to wait, because it's harder to be able to do what you really want to do as opposed to what the world tells you to do, because everybody's going to be very supportive if you do what you ask them to do, if you do what they expect you to do. But patience, and also just belief in what you're doing. I mean, the belief is the most important thing, and as long as you believe in what you're doing, then nobody can sort of deter you from your objective.
I love that. Most that.
Definitely.
And when you say belief, so what helped you instill such a positive belief in yourself, in your mindset? Like, was this something that you were coaching yourself on, or you just knew music meant enough to you? Was it the outcome, or was it the relationship with yourself, or something else?
Well, there were times that I felt really down in the dumps, and I just felt I was doing everything wrong and I was going to be a failure. And but I've been very grateful again. Polly's been there to support me throughout this journey, and she's been very patient with me, and I'm really blessed because she's more than my mother. I feel like she's a soulmate, a best friend. So if you have somebody who's going to give you that sort of positivity and counsel you through it, it always helps.
Yeah.
Because yes, I mean, I won't lie. There have been times that I have felt like giving up, but then I'm so glad I didn't. And every time I feel that way, I know it's a phase now, because it's I've been through it so many times that whenever
you develop the resilience,
does happen, yes, you sort of do, and that's when you have your faith in God helps you as well, because
Mm.
and then that's when you sort of see that there's no way you can go back to sort of following what the world does, because that's what you've sort of stood against all your life. And then I don't know, it's just I don't want to accept defeat, so I will keep going.
I love that.
And
Thank you so much for sharing that.
yeah.
I think that's a really deep message for those that are listening in, just the power of community and the loved ones around you. And I know I've definitely had moments in my life where I've found it hard to believe in myself, but just, and just the value of someone else believing in you, even when you can't believe in yourself, man, that is like one of life's greatest gifts. No.
Really?
Yeah, incredible.
It is. Also, I think, Amrit, like faith is a very personal thing, but my faith in Sikhism has also helped me overcome a lot of issues, because we've been taught to have courage and be brave throughout, like no matter what. So it's not the way I've been conditioned is such that I think that faith keeps me going as well.
Yeah, so maybe let's talk a little bit about
whatever.
Yeah, maybe let's talk
whatever
a little bit
one
about
believes in.
Yeah, because I definitely, like when you look at me, I have no turban, I have no beard. Or maybe if you see my wedding photos, you can see that I'm a Sikh, but when you see it...
Oh, those were lovely photos, by the way. Really, you both look so good together.
Thank you so much. We played your music at our wedding.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's such an honor. Thank you.
It was so incredible. In my heart, I was like, I wonder if we can get her down here. And I was like, okay, relax. Just play the music. Just don't get ahead of yourself. But yeah, I had a dream.
I do hope whenever you're in India, both of you, I can, we meet, and I'd love to sing a song for you guys whenever I'm in Australia. Yes.
So just to give you an insight, our favorite, one of the songs that I first played to her that, because we very, we go through phases with our music. So sometimes we listen to Brazilian music, South American music, sometimes we listen to Western music, sometimes Indian music. And we hadn't listened to Indian music in a while. And then now it's been like a massive phase of Indian music for a little while. And it was Munda Lambaraan. Oh my God, that song, dude, we would just sit there and serenade each other. And the song's beautiful. It's a really, really beautiful song. And it just connected us to the memories of when we first met. And so she loves that song, just saying that she loves that song.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you. Surinder Kaurji has always been such an inspiration. She's a legend. So I wasn't sure whether people would sort of take to this contemporary style of having done the song, but then I'm so glad to like it.
Just while I've got the opportunity to say it, I think the way you polish like the older songs into just having, it doesn't, I'm just going to be a fan for a second, right? So the way that it basically goes from, it still has all the essence of the tradition in it. It doesn't strip any of that away, right? But it just adds the flavor of modernity to it. And I'm just like, wait, how did you just make all that, which was already cool, but you had to appreciate like what they were saying to make it cool, and get over the fact that it wasn't like recorded in a new era. Like you listen to some of Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan's work, which is like, one of my favorite songs is Tum Ek Gorak Dhanda Ho, which is just like, dude, it's insane, right? But it means so much. The way he sings it is so epic, but the recordings are poor quality. So you've got to listen to them, and you kind of just have to adjust. You just do it for the love of like what's actually being communicated. But then you've taken that, and then certain elements of like certain songs, and then you've created this level of polish to them where it's just like, oh, it's actually rich to listen to, and it's got all the essence. It's such a blessing. It's just gorgeous. So that's me.
Thank you so
being
much.
A fan.
Thank you.
I'm being a fan.
Thank you. That makes me feel like I'm doing something right. Thank you.
Doing everything right. So I wanted to ask, just to come back to the question we had, because I identify as a Sikh as well in a really big way. It's completely everything to me. So to me, it literally just means that my faith is to learn, and life is here to encourage me to learn and grow, and I just continue on that path. But there are some certain values, as you mentioned, that are present in the Sikh faith, courage being one of them, honesty being another. What is it really like? What do you think it is in that faith that, is present, I guess, in this conversation for both you and I? I guess for me, it kind of feels like there is this, for me, I see this standing against depression, which was a big thing like Sikhs
Absolutely.
have, given their own lives to stop the persecution of other faiths
Yes.
in the name of their own faith, which is like an intense dialogue, really.
Right.
And when you see that, it's like, okay, if my life can be sacrificed in the greater good of the life of, the grandiosity of what is life, then perhaps,
Right.
that can give my life greater meaning, which is an interesting, very interesting conversation.
It's
But in that,
amazing.
it gives you this standing in something, right? Like you've actually got to build some beliefs. You've got to stand for something, I guess, is pretty much what I've
Yes,
come to realize. And is that something that is
exactly.
your appreciation of the faith as well? Tell us a little bit about your relationship with that and the courage and what the faith helps you in terms of navigating your life.
I think the reason I feel so connected to this faith is, for one thing, like I said earlier, for me, Sikhism was really a movement to sort of break free from the rigidity of any other religion. It was Hinduism, Islam, whatever, but basically whatever was rigid is what Sikhism tried to break free from. And when Guru Nanak Dev Ji started this religion, he was accompanied by a gentleman who was Hindu, and then another person called Mardana who was Muslim. So basically religion meant nothing to them. They wanted to start this movement to break free from all of that, and that's what they stood for. And to do that back then was, it really required courage, and they really stood for what they felt was right. And now all that's got distorted in Sikhism as well, I feel, and that really saddens me, where people are being so rigid when it comes to, in terms of, in their own ways. And I don't mean to offend anybody, but I do feel that, whether or not one wears a turban or whatever one's personal choices might be, that does not define whether you're a good Sikh or not. The idea of any religion or any faith is to be a good human being, and I think Sikhism teaches us that the most. So
yeah, and I feel that with you as well. Yeah, so I actually totally identify with the faith, even though not wearing the star of the faith. And I think that fluidity is, it does speak to just the essence of, what it really means to, just keep it free, keep it fluid, find your own way, and, find your way in life.
Because I think that's what the idea was initially.
Amazing. And so what inspires you in the space of music at the moment? Is it still all the, the music that's been created that has spoken to people on such a deep spiritual, like soulful level? Or like, is there stuff, like, what is it that keeps you inspiring, keeps you creative, keeps, the juices flowing at your end?
I think every time I feel like the juices aren't flowing is when Polly comes and gives me another song that she's written, and then I'm like, ooh, that gives me something else to do. So that happened just the other day. In fact, it's literally 2 days ago. So we're working on a new song now. It's a romantic song. She hasn't told me who she's written it about. But she says some things are best not disclosed. So
I feel like I'd like to sit in on some of these mother-daughter conversations. I think I'd learn a lot. And yeah, so tell me more in terms of what's coming up in like next, like you're traveling around the country, you're sharing a lot of your music. What is, for those that love listening to your music, what's the best way to connect to you live, online? What's the best way to drop in?
YouTube. So I'm trying to sort of put music out on my own YouTube channel now, which is shall I say what the channel is?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's youtube.com/Jasleen Aulakh, which is my full name. Jasleen
We'll put the link to it in the show notes.
Thank you. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. And as far as gigs are concerned, everything's come to a standstill with this whole coronavirus.
It's an interesting time, isn't it?
It's very scary, actually. But imagine this is what human beings really deserve for behaving the way they have. They're so cruel to the environment, to the animals, to everything. So this is karma, really.
Yeah, it's a really interesting place that we're in at the moment. And I'd love to sort of dive into the conversation of, if you could pick a favorite song Of your own.
Of my own?
Do you have a favorite? Like, how does this work? Because I want to know. I want to feel into the inside of an artist's head. Are they all like your children and they're all my favorite? Go away, Amrit. Don't ask me such questions. Or is there one which is like, no, this one song is really amazing for me?
Um, it's hard to choose really, but out of the ones Polly's written, I think my all-time favorite's been a song called Jo Beet Gayi So Baat Gayi.
Okay.
So it talks about a time that has been and sort of disappeared, and how one sort of holds on to these moments and doesn't want to let go, because these moments sort of help you get through life in any case, and you just want to hold on, you don't want to let go of them, and because they were so beautiful. So even if they don't exist any longer, they keep you going. So I think she'd be the best person to tell you exactly what it's meant to mean. But yeah, that's my interpretation of the song. So that hasn't been released yet. It's called Jo Beet Gayi So Baat Gayi. So that's one of my favorite songs that she's written. Then currently I'm very fond of a song called Kyun Jage, which because there's been a lot of like I said, India's far from being a secular country right now, and there's this verse that she's written, and she says, "Jo tu bakshish mange Allah se, wo Ram naam se bhi milti hai." So basically, she talks about yes. So
the donation that you ask of God also comes from the Muslim God, also comes from the Hindu God. Yeah.
Yes, so basically what she says is, she talks about waking up in a world which is very different from the world that we live in right now. So she says, "वो उस दुनिया में जागेगा तू जहाँ पीर फकीर भी बसते हैं, ना रोक वहाँ ना टोक वहाँ, वहाँ मस्त मलंग ही बसते हैं, दीवार ना कोई." Did you get that?
Yeah.
Oh, you do understand. All right. So दीवार ना कोई मंदिर की, मस्जिद की भी कोई हद ना है, दर खुले हैं मैखानों के वहाँ, आजाद परिंदे उड़ते हैं, जो तू बख्शिश मांगे अल्लाह से, वो राम नाम से भी मिलती है, जो सुख तू मांगे राम से ही, वो अल्लाह भी दे देता है, वो महफिल है दीवानों की, दीवाना तू बन जाएगा, अपनी ही धुन पे नाचेगा, अपनी ही धुन तू गाएगा, थम जा रे मनवा, ख्वाबों का वो जहां, पुकारे मनवा. So just hang on, hold on. Maybe one day we will be able to live in that world.
Oh, that's so beautiful. She writes this.
She's written this. So my current favorite would be that one. Yeah.
She's a poet. She's completely just a poet.
She is, and I'm not. So I'm grateful I get these songs without doing anything. I'm just like a thief, I just get inspired by what she writes, and I take some of that, and I take some of what the Sufi poets have written, and I just put them all together, and I get credit for whatever they've done.
Oh, it's such a blessing. So tell me a little bit about, walking this path and having such beautiful poetry and music in your life. Like, as you're giving credit to those around you, obviously inspires you in a really deep way, right? So
it does.
Yeah. So tell me about just walking with, like, at the moment, just the song you recited, you can see that you've infused it so much into your own awareness, your own understanding. Do the songs help you grow?
They definitely do. They do. And my belief in the lyrics is so strong, whether it's Sufiana Kalams, whether it's what Polly's written, because I feel they all pretty much mean the same thing. But at the same time, sometimes, Amrit, that can get very frustrating, because I feel like I believe in those words so much, and then I look outside and I see the world around me, and I feel that it's the simplest things that they don't seem to understand, and that makes me really angry, and it saddens me sometimes.
Right.
And I just feel like the only thing that can make me escape this, can't think of a better word than shithole that we live in. I think it's just our dreams that help us escape this. This is just so. People are cruel. People are mean. People are nasty. There's no compassion, and the more you read stuff that inspires you, the more you're compelled to think about why it is the way it is. Why is it that there's so much disparity? Why is it that why is it that a gardener is, especially in this country, a gardener doesn't get the same respect as a doctor would.
Or even our teachers and our educators, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So why this disparity? Why this distinction? Why so much judgment? Why so much judgment on, who's gay, who's straight, who's bisexual? How does anybody's sexual orientation define who they are? How does anybody's social status define who they are? There's a lot of that. And I feel that the Sufis talked about all of this so many years ago, so long ago. And they were way ahead of their times, but this has been an ongoing thing. Nothing's changed, has it?
Right.
And whenever you speak up, you're the one who's considered crazy or, too radical or whatever.
So the music is also helping you vent some of the frustrations that you
Most
have.
Definitely. Yes, it is catharsis. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful to receive that. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. And so
do you feel that way sometimes as well?
Well, the inspired evolution is an inspired evolution, right? So the inspiration is to breathe and be looking forward, and evolution implies, like a positive tomorrow is also what that could be, but a lot of my work as a meditation teacher is about being in the present. But at the same time, why would I call my thing the inspired evolution if there wasn't change underfoot, if there wasn't a revolution or a movement that was necessary at this time? So I totally believe there are challenges. My biggest challenge, just to I guess square some of the conversation, is for me it's a lot of people tune into the inspired evolution, the conversations we have, and people are like, you're consistently focused on positivity, and it's like, yes I am, and they're like, but there's a lot of negative things happening in the world, and there's a lot of challenges. And I'm like, absolutely there are. I don't deny that in any way. In fact, I hold distinct awareness of some of the challenges that we have, with our oceans, with the way, they're completely polluted.
Yes.
Our social, some of that, like you've been alluding to, some of the social interactions we have, they leave a lot to be desired. Even just how, just simple things, man. As an engineer, I think about the fact that the world throws away 1/3 of its food, and 1/3 of the world is malnourished, living off under $1 a day.
Right.
It just take that, put it like it just, there's a lot in there, that needs a lot of work. But I also, just in the inspired evolution, I focus on positivity because I'm also aware of the fact that what we focus on is actually what we attract more of, right? And so this has been a full, like, I've had to go through the journey of, having been down in the dumps and taking on the weight of the world, and then realizing that actually now I'm just focused on the problems. I'm not solution oriented. And somehow I become part of the problem too, when I'm just focused on the problem. And, hence why I think it's a really gorgeous outlet that you have, in terms of connecting to your spirituality, the creation and the music, and hoping to inspire others to reconnect to that revolution inside them. And the music that speaks to that, and the depth that it speaks at too. It's really helpful, because then you can connect to, there is, the reason to live, the reason to fight on, the reason to, really connect to something meaningful and create that positive shift. So for me, it is very much like, in need of a better way of putting it, a spiritual crusade. But it, that doesn't mean that it can't be endowed with a whole bunch of grace along the way, and I think your music is a great example of that.
Thank you.
And for me, the word is the sword sort of thing. It's like the conversations, hoping that, they spark a conversation that, someone can then ripple out and have the effect further and further and further. So, sometimes
that's a beautiful way to put it.
Thank you. Yeah. Sometimes the challenge is people reflect back and, they're on their own journey, and they say, hey, look, maybe you're spiritual bypassing, in terms of, hey, like, you're bypassing like some of the negative stuff in life just to get to the positive. And in the past, yes, of course, I think all of us have been through that at a certain point, trying to, put honey on their wounds instead of, the salt that will help it. Sometimes it's like, so trying to figure out, but that's part of life's process as well. But I think, now I feel quite grounded in that, it is an agenda to promote more positivity, because there are some really amazing things happening, but they're only happening in little corner pockets. Like, for me, this is a show that's mostly listened to in Australia, but there's some amazing work that you're doing in India. So it'd be rude for me not to share that, with the community here. And so there are these pockets of inspiration all around the world that I just feel compelled to share that positivity, and hoping that inspires more positivity, and the inspired evolution then, lifts everybody. And it's like an uplifting kind of agenda that I have, really, hence the you at the beginning of the episode.
That's just beautiful. No, it's amazing what you're doing. It's really nice, so beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. So, hey, I am conscious of the time, and I'm so grateful for your time and energy here today. And obviously, it's not just today. It's a life's work, and I really respect, even just the journey that you've been on, and you followed and you conformed the norm, and then always had music in the background, and then came to it, and then the revolution within you towards music helped you inspire with the revolution of music. And it's been really nice for me just to tune into your inspirations and what's going on in the background there. And, the journey behind the music is always just a treat and a treasure to tune into. So I just want to thank you,
Amrit. And it's been really refreshing. All that you've asked me, it's really, this was a very different sort of interview. I enjoyed it the most. Really. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That means so much.
Because otherwise, usually it's just the same hackneyed sort of questions. This was really refreshing. It was very nice.
It's like two friends having a chat.
Honestly, it was. It doesn't seem like I've met you for the first time.
Yeah, it's really weird because I've been listening to you, so I know that I got this feeling of not like it's not the first time I've met you, but that's a really big compliment. So thank you. And I really want to just wish you all the best for the future as well, sister. Like, absolutely love and adore what you're up to. And is there anything else that you wanted to share with everybody that's tuning in the present moment? Or are we good?
Nothing, just apart from the fact that they should follow the inspired evolution, and what you're doing is absolutely amazing, and that one should just believe in oneself and keep going, and that's the only way to make life beautiful and worth living.
Yes, totally agree with you. Thank you so much for following your dreams, for inspiring us to follow ours. Big love.
Thank you so much, Amrit. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, leave us a comment, and if you want to stay in tune for new episodes launching every Monday, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay inspired to evolve.